This is Dr. Phil Chavez of the Men's Academy. Brothers, I was thinking recently, reading and covering some of Hebrews, St. Paul reminds me that Jesus isn't simply worthy of glory because of who he is, but what he did and what he accomplished, or rather what he accepted. And what he accepted was the bitter death of the cross. He accepted suffering. Now, in Hebrews, what he wants to tell us is through this suffering, uniting ourselves with Christ, then we become one of his brethren. We're brothers to Christ when we accept the suffering that was bestowed on him. We take it upon ourselves and walk with him in that suffering. So I want to read a little bit of Hebrews chapter 2, verses 9 through 11. We see Jesus crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. For it was fitting that he, in bringing many sons to glory, should make the pioneer of their salvation perfect through suffering. For he who sanctifies those who are sanctified all have one origin. That is why he is not ashamed to call them brethren. Brothers, Christ is not ashamed to call us his brothers because we are not ashamed to suffer with him. That's why. And what he wants us to do, to lead a righteous life in him, to honor the baptism that we have received, is to not have fear, to walk with him in his suffering that he has taken on. We've got to overcome this fear. And I find that right now, in the climate we're living in right now in this country, I find many men in fear. What are they in fear of? They're in fear of future persecution. Well, isn't this what Christ promised us? Isn't this what he said would be our lot? Brothers, we have to overcome this fear of suffering, this fear of walking with him. Because if we don't overcome this fear, we will never find peace in our souls and we'll never be free. And worse than that, we will never be able to be called his sons. Do what you need to do, brothers, to move through your fears, whatever they may be. Take recourse to whatever you need to do in prayer, in reading, in walking with your brothers, to accept the suffering God's calling you to that may be in your future, and to move always in Christ in everything that you do. Because if you don't deserve the title of being one of his brethren. Brothers, it's your move.